Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 312. Today is Sunday, April 12th. I was like mixing up my 4s and 12s. 2020, whatever. And I'm glad you could join me today. It's been a fairly chill weekend here. What would it be? There was definitely like a funny moment in which my husband was getting into bed as I was getting out of bed. So, what would it be? But such is life. What I was attempting to do was to get to the grocery store before it got a little bit too crazy. And would it be? Unfortunately, I did not arrive early to the grocery store on a day that they had restocked, so whatever. I was hoping to score some toilet paper, but I was denied. And then when I got back home, I was like, it's probably not that bad. It'll work out. So, let's see. I'm trying to think about if there's any other excitement afoot, and nothing that I feel like sharing. So, what would it be? Let's see. While this project has received most of the work during the week, I think I've hardly worked on it at all over the weekend, but it has grown quite a lot. So this is Sizzle Pop, which is a Leslie Ann Robinson pattern that I'm knitting out of Mozzarella yarns, excellent lace in the, whatever, let's see, is this one? Like You Can Never Keep Me Down, I think is this side, which is sort of a blue, green, purple variegated. And then You Can Never Have Enough Socks, which is the purple. So I may need to start marking this so that I can like see how much progress I've made on this bad boy. Yeah. So as of right now, I have 9 repeats of this leafy chart. And this will continue to grow because I have so much yarn. so very much yarn. The first time that I knit this shawl, I knit it with hand spun. I was probably more on the sportier end of weight. And I gave that away to my mom. Because I was knitting it for my friend who unfortunately died before I could finish. So, as you do, fuck cancer. So this is the version that I'm making for me to keep because the other one, while gorgeous, was never my project. So it's coming along. So in some ways I'm sort of recalling some of the colors that I had in that original project, but this You Can Never Keep Me Down colorway has way more white in it. So it's actually contrasting like really gorgeous with all of that white. So it's making the line super duper clear. So an argument for not having all things full saturation all the time. So I keep this by my computer on the dining room table. And whenever I'm in a meeting, I am working on this project. So that's why it's grown kind of a lot, because meetings. So it's gonna continue to receive, I think, a decent amount of love in the coming weeks. So what it'll be, it's my knitting at work project. Yeah, no, I was having some software issues where it would like freeze up on me, and so it just reached the point where I was just sitting there knitting until the software unfroze because I couldn't do anything else but that. So I would just like work on that until it became unfrozen, look up, it's unfrozen, make a couple more mouse clicks, knit some more. Like, not that I was getting row repeats done, but I was definitely getting a few stitch repeats done in the chart. So, as you do. So that should hopefully continue to get love. And what would it be? It's a giant shawl for me. It is mindless enough. Every so often there is the row where it, or would it be? It'd be the case where with brioche, it's every fourth row is something going on. And so that's a good speed for me. Otherwise, it's a lot like knitting one by one ribbing, which, whatever. Like, brioche is just fancy one by one ribbing. And then the other thing, which has received more love this weekend, and actually a decent amount in the week too, let's be honest, is the fingerless mitts. So, I don't know, are they fingerless gloves? They're probably fingerless gloves. So I think last time I showed you I was still working on a finger, but now all of the fingers are complete. And the different heights of the fingers are so that each one can cover the Dearly Lovable one's knuckle. And we discovered that our relative finger lengths are different between us, so who knew? But one is done, there's ends all over the place, and then like extra ends because I had to like lengthen the middle finger, but not too crazy. So there's a couple of different finger lengths in there. I'll have to have this one as a reference when I make it to the fingers on the other glove. So one of them is probably like a little bit too short. It's actually maybe even a smidge short on me. It was hard to tell until you got another finger on if where it was actually going to sit on your fingers, which I found to be interesting. And it doesn't look too crazy with the, even the poor little thumb with its, sorry, figure out a way of actually showing, with its one by one corrugated, well, it's not corrugated ribbing, it's just one by one color work. So, not too crazy. And then yesterday I managed to get a pretty good burn on this. So I cast on the second mitt. I am working here. I did a quick count, and so I did 26 rows of 2x2 ribbing on this one. So I'm at like 24 now on this. So I'm so close to being able to start the color work. Yeah, it almost looks like it's time, but counting the rows seemed to indicate that it was not there, so I may want to count the pearl bumps. Because I know I did one plain round to get rid of all the pearls in the ribbon before I launched into the chart. Sort of like how I did, I think I did, maybe I didn't. I did one extra row of the final chart so that my final lizard buddies could have noses. As you do. So this lizard buddy down here shares a nose stitch with the top one, so just did that one extra row so that we could have the nose in place for these last guys. So far so good. Glad to see the end of the fingers. Will be a decent amount of finishing before it's proper all the way done, but not too bad. Now that the guessing has been taken out of it, hopefully the second one will go a little bit faster just because there'll be less speculating of, is this good yet, is this not good? Because roughly speaking, what I have here is about 1.5 charts of the thumb. So, and the thumb only looks silly off of the hand because I had to decrease it away. I could have just had like plain rows in order to make it long enough for the Dirty Level 1. Whatever, I'm committed now to whatever this is. Just dealing with it. So this pattern is Maritz, which is inspired by M.C. Escher, and it's from Stephanie van der Linden's Op Art Socks book. And then some of the stuff about the fingers I sort of took from the Naughty Gloves, which is my reference for gloves. I've never knit proper gloves before, but I've done these fingerlet. I used the Naughty Gloves pattern as a reference for what to do for the fingers. This time it involved an Excel spreadsheet to scale it properly, but I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So hopefully not too much longer on this project, because this project's probably preventing me from casting on a sweater, so hopefully that'll make it more motivated. And the yarn that I am using is fiber optic in the cashmere base, which is a merino cashmere nylon base, and this one is a light fingering, and this is Kentucky Blue, and then Morticia is hanging out on my back right now. I just keep dropping. So Morticia in Kentucky Blue, gorgeous. Really happy working with this. Excited to probably do an accessory pattern with this yarn, and also incorporating red, because I was deeply confused why the Dirty Level 1 didn't want red in the project. And like, red's totally his favorite color. Like, I've got blue down, but yeah. Oh well. So I think last week I had shared that I had finished my purple skein, and I concluded that I should record in the daylight. I don't know, the sun's trying to break through, but it's a little bit foggy out. So I have 3 finished bobbins of blue, and had I been okay with recording in the evening and using my studio lights, I may have been able to show you the finished thing. But I concluded that I should just podcast now while it was appropriate coffee drinking time, as you do. So, it's so close. I even have like a little knot tied in it. Or I did have like a little knot tied in it, like I was ready to start plying. But what was it? So I was doing a virtual knit night, or whatever. Virtual, I guess knit night probably. I don't know. It started in the morning. So I had a virtual knitting group with some of the people from the Fun Onion group. And so during that I was able to, or during that this morning and early afternoon, I managed to finish spinning the singles on the last ply. And I think I made pretty good progress on this one, but the blue is definitely like the least in terms of yardage as well. So, oh well, such is life. So as a result, I'm so close to being done. It's very exciting. So next week I might even have finished and washed skeins to share, because I don't think that I've washed them yet. There definitely is like a horrifying amount of citric acid in the blue. I used quite a lot in order to get that stupid thing. Or I just used quite a lot in the process of dyeing that particular color. So it really hasn't even had like a proper good cleaning on it. So that'll be interesting. I'm not sure what I'm not entirely sure what's gonna end up going down. In terms of what sort of yardage I'm gonna get or what. It seemed like this spin went really, really fast, which is good because it's been quite the haul of the project. So I think I've been working on this. I don't know, like the fiber processing has been going for quite some time, and then, though I guess the proper spinning of this project did start more in November than, more towards the November timeframe than, maybe even early December. I probably need to be kind to myself. So that'll mean, I find this to be totally crazy, like, considering that I started with probably 4 or 5 pounds of fleece, that at the end I have roughly 18 ounces of fiber, but whatever, such is life. Because it is so fine, like, that's not going to end up being a big deal. Like, that's the equivalent of making whatever, a foreskin shawl, so I'm not too worried about it. But it was just interesting to think that that all boiled down to just this small amount of yarn in the end, and then all of my different waist gains as well. But really excited to see the end of that project, and I'll have to do a lot of photo taking and fun when that finally does occur. So let's see. But once I finish that, the next step probably is a little bit of swatching for the Mesa sweater wrap. And we'll be getting started on that. So that would technically speaking count for the SSK teacher count. I'm not sure how long that's going for. I'm waitlisted. I'm not even sure whether or not the event's going on, but it hasn't yet reached the point where, what would it be? It is still far enough away that it has not been canceled, so hope springs eternal, I guess. And then the vacation that we'd planned for the end of April was canceled, so that means, like, I definitely have the wiggle room to, if I want to do last minute vacation, it's definitely possible. Because it's definitely a little bit awkward because you have to think about, like, it probably is important to take a break from work, but it isn't like things are going to be in terms of taking a break from work during this time of shelter in place simply involves, would it be hanging out at home? Which, like, as an introverted person, like, I'm down. Like, my weekends probably have not significantly changed from whatever before shelter in place, but I don't know, it's just interesting. I'm like, oh, such is life. So, let's see. I don't know. Just laughing about whether or not I would end up taking a vacation anyways, but such is life. I know this weekend involved some pretty good movement on the house front. Still not good movement on the knitting room front, as you can tell by sort of the unchanged backdrop behind me, but slowly but surely things will come together. What would it be? Today's push was the bedroom, so it's quite a lot better now. But who knows what tomorrow's push will be? I don't know. Maybe nothing. So let's see. anything else I wanted to talk to you guys about? Not a lot. Would it be? It'd be the case where I sort of took this as or would it be? I took this as an opportunity. I was like going through some of the old mail, and there was like a advertisement for like a fruit and vegetable service, and so I'm like, I've always wanted to be a part of a CSA. I should join the CSA. So I'll have to let you guys know how that ends up turning out. It's gonna be a few weeks before it arrives, unfortunately, but sort of, or would it be? It's like nice to think about having like some fruits and vegetables just delivered to my door. Because like I think a lot of times, I don't know if you guys do this as well, but I'll get like super focused on what the meat dish is going to be, and then where would it be? When it turns out that like the long pole in the cooking tent is probably the vegetable. So the default of frozen vegetables, while perfectly nutritious, does get boring after a while. So I'm hoping that it can help sort of take focus, or take some of the focus away from the meat dishes, if that makes any sense. So should be interesting. I'm hoping at some point that I can find my shoe rack, because there needs to be a place to put my shoes. Like, I don't have a lot of shoes, but it would be good to take care of that. So, oh well. Let's see, other things that I've been pondering. Yeah, no, I think the big thing was, like, on Friday it was like sitting down and doing a lot of careful meal planning. And then Saturday morning going grocery shopping and be like, oh crap. Like, what can I do instead? And then maybe some ramifications with respect to having an oh crap moment, getting the substitute, and then in a calmer place finding the thing I wanted but not getting rid of the substitute. So, so hopefully sometime this week I'm probably gonna end up making a rhubarb custard pie for the James one, because he definitely mentioned it, and I definitely found lots of delicious looking rhubarb at the supermarket. So that's gonna be a thing. I've been, I think one thing that's sort of been like calming, at least to me, is like sitting down with my favorite cookbook, which is How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman, and just like figuring out like something to do. So I feel very jealous, or would it be? I gave away my container of yeast when I wasn't sure about my refrigerator situation. I normally have like a pretty, like I have like a jar that I always keep in the fridge so that whenever I feel like baking something yeasted, I can. And I haven't been able to replace it because there was no point in having yeast in the apartment because there was no oven. And then by the time we got into the house, like things had already gotten weird. Would it be like definitely got to the Bay Area, went to a Walmart to buy toilet paper, and there was none. So, would it be? So it'd be the case where every time I go to the baking aisle in the grocery store, it's like, no. And I would say the other thing that comes with the grocery shopping and why maybe it's like a little bit of a struggle is that, like, this is a new grocery store to me and I don't know where the things are. So that ends up making it a little bit challenging because you're like, where is this? But I will eventually learn and it will be better. Because I definitely walked past frozen hamburgers several times. I just wanted frozen hamburgers. Didn't have to think about it. Or actually, what is it? The Jersey little one calls them Molly Loves Me burgers. Because if he feels the hunger, then he can just grab one. So, what would it be? It's been at least partially stocked. I don't know. I'll have to figure out if there's like a more convenient way or getting a larger quantity at the same time. Because definitely used to having like the many burger boxes as opposed to just having like 6 packs in a box. Like, what's up? So, now that all of the meal planning is done, I can just execute on the plan. No big deal. So tonight is going to be meatloaf, and there's some leftover mashed potatoes from last night. So I think it'll be good. And maybe we will have some non-traditional side dishes with the meatloaf in the future. Who knows? Life's an adventure sometimes. So, would it be any other things? We'll see. I don't know. There are good days, there are bad days. Normally Sundays are great and Mondays are terrible, so maybe this Monday will be just fine. Who knows? Her. As you do. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.